the important thing is that creativity is not a map where you have a destination. It's more a compass which is sort of letting you know, your direction. So the rest you're trying to figure out. I mean, you're building that parachute as you're jumping off kind of thing. It's almost like that. So I don't think you are clear about the end goal at that point. There's some kind of a hunch that you have. And every day you sort of go back and say, does it still nurture? Because there are times when it just burns out. I mean, I've come up with 10 ideas out of which maybe 5 have failed. I wanted to do a film company which would make just design for film. And I realized that most producers and actors want to meet at 4 in the morning and I said, I want to sleep. So I said, nahi karna. So, you raste mein kabhi kabhi you find, but you generally know the direction. I don't think it's like so specific that, this is it and I'm going for it and this is where I'm going to go. And in creativity, very often the roads are not created also. Right? It's roadless travel. So you build the road, you're making that parachute as you go.
I don't think anyone knows me here. I think my husband himself is here for Rohan Joshi, not for me. When I entered the venue, these guys thought I am one of the audience. They didn't even know I'm here as a speaker. So thank you for the warm introduction. But I'm Lekhinee and I run the Indian Ethnic Company, which is an Indian ethnic wear brand. And for me, I think the journey has been totally accidental. I am first a dancer, an actor, and we didn't build a business. We just thought that chalo kuch photos dalte hain. My mom wanted to do it as a hobby and we just started very randomly. And it accidentally became a business. So I feel like sometimes creativity it gives you a platform and then like you mentioned, right? You just like navigate and find your way, and dance reels was something that we did because I thought that dunya sari photoshoot karke bechti hai, mujhe dance aata hai, main dance karke bechungi. And then I kept on doing that, and then I think eventually that helped us make the mark, and I think the maker and the market find a balance, and I think creators always create a market.
I think similar to what you said also about finding a road, if I can extend that metaphor a little bit, I think it's a bit like a river also. Like the water starts flowing and then you have no control. As it sort of comes down the mountain, it finds its path, it does its thing, and eventually realize, this thing is sort of, going around these bends and it's doing all of these things, and where once barren things were, things are now green, but I cannot claim to be in control of any of this, right? In terms of when we started off, like I said, didn't start off as a market, didn't start off as a job. In fact, when we started off as AIB, we ourselves were very resistant to the idea of it. We have this, you're a stand-up comedian, you know this, right? There's this thing of, no, we are stage artists. We only perform for audience. What is this YouTube, etc.? And then there was this moment, 6 videos, and I was like, this is a new thing now. I don't think we were in control of it. Right. And then it happens. And then once it starts happening, you can either try and sort of tame it, control it, put a rein on it and try and buck it, or you go, okay, let's see where this train goes and have fun. And I think, like both of them said, as long as you enjoy the process, as long as it nurtures you, I think you find this sort of beautiful balance with it. And then I wish you could say you shift the universe, but no, the universe just shifts and you just sort of go along for the ride and have a good time. At least that's how I hope it works out always. So
One thing I want to ask that many people struggle with is that how do you assign value to the work that you're doing? You say nurturing, yes, but you have the world around you telling you these numbers, throwing these parameters to rate yourself on, be it sales, be it views, be it tickets, be it anything. So how do you not listen to all that noise? How are you not manipulated by all that noise and still keep doing whatever the fuck you want to do?
So what I found is that as long as I do the work and do the creative work, the best thing you can do in your life, and I know it's going to sound, the best thing you can do is find an extremely smart Gujarati person. I'm not making this up. You just find an extremely smart, and this is going to sound like a little antithetical to the thing, but if like I enjoy doing the creative work, honestly, one of the best things that could happen is finding one guy who is like a businessman where he almost doesn't even care about my creativity. Where he's like, hoga to creative. But here's what, I can objectively look at you and be like, you need to value yourself more monetarily. You need to assign a value to your time. You need to assign a value to your this thing. Stop like minimizing what you're doing, etc. Whatever. And in a way, because sometimes I don't know what happens with creatives who are like, no, I don't want to put a monetary value to my art, etc. Whatever. He's like, हाँ पर तेरे को rent भरने का ना कार पे, right? So sometimes the best thing you can have is somebody sitting across from you who can sort of take it and be almost like mercenary about it. Where he's like, no, I will make sure that if you are uncomfortable with finding this value, I will find it for you.
Right.
And when you get partners like that, they constantly push you. Like this happened with us when we wanted to start doing our first live show, Royal, which was like this Bollywood parody award. We were like, we'll do it in a 150-seater room or whatever. But we got this business manager who was like, no, you're not doing this. I am confident you all will sell 700 tickets. Why don't we take Liberty Theatre? Right? Why don't we just rent out Liberty Theatre? Why don't we turn this into a thing? And then they push you. So on one level, yes, you can add value. But what really helped me is understanding that I maybe am a creative person and I need to, there's nothing wrong in asking for help from people who, like मेरे को Excel का ही नहीं आता, ठीक है? And sometimes it's very good to meet somebody in your life who only understands Excel and nothing else.
I'll add on to that in a sense. So I think that there are three things you should be looking at as a creator: relevance, revenue, and enriching yourself. I mean, I wish there was a third R. I was trying to find it. But see,
Rejuvenation.
इसीलिए रोहन जोशी की side में बैठा. So the reason for this is this. Let's see, relevance. What makes you relevant? Who is your audience? Is it the 5 people around you who make you relevant? Is it the 5,000? Is it Instagram? Is it YouTube? Define that relevance and then stick to it yourself. Everybody else will keep coming to you with their parameter. Arey yaar, tune na, did you perform here? Everyone is trying to question your relevance. You must know what it is. Revenue is important at any stage. I used to do radio 30 plus years ago. But I knew I needed 10 grand a month to survive. मेरे पास 10,000 रुपए कमाने ही थे. My rent plus everything, etc. I knew it was this. When Times of India was negotiating with me, they were like, "Sir, हम तो 250 रुपए per show देते हैं. अगर आपने इसके लिए 40 shows करने," I said, "I don't care if you make me do 60 shows. I need that number." I knew the revenue I need. At any point in life, I have known how much revenue I need. I'm also aware. Deciding whether I want to do the other person a favor, deciding whether I want to let it go because, oh my God, this opportunity is for the art, it's fun, it's a play. I was doing Monsoon Wedding 2 years ago with Meera Nair. It was the joy of working with Meera Nair. Working for 3 months with a phenomenal cast. Learning to do shit that I just didn't know how to do. I mean, I can sing and I can act, but I can't dance. And and they were making me, I said, boss, okay, I'm playing Nasiruddin Shah's role. Right at the end, I have to do just this much. Itna to kar lunga. But it was that, but it was the learning, the enrichment, and the rejuvenation at some level that worked for me a lot. But I think these are 3 very important goals to define. The last, which as he said, is that apart from Gujarati, you can also find a good Banya businessman. I have a good Banya businessman who actually would turn and say, like, I was saying, what a cool workshop you're going to do. पैसे कितने मिलेंगे? Like, ठीक है, अभी ये देख रहा है, which is good enough.
I think the 4th R should be resonance here because I feel that a story helps you sell, but it's the sales that help you continue the story. And I feel like an art, like if you see like an actor who is trying to be there, is always called a struggling actor. Like an artist, who is practicing an art that doesn't pay, it turns into a hobby. But when commerce really helps and you find that bridge between maker and market, I think you create a movement that is larger than the art itself. And I feel like I think value is created not just by making what the market needs today. I think as makers, we create value by constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Like Javed Akhtar said that normal people को सब normal लगता है, ये ठीक है, ये ठीक है, ये ठीक है. But जो creative लोग होते हैं उसको लगता है नहीं, I want to do this way. कुछ उसको कमी लगती है, and that urge of something missing creates that urge to create something. And I think that kind of pushes the boundaries of what's possible, and that kind of moves the market, and eventually I think the markets really catch up to what the makers make. That's what I feel.
I just have one question. How much do you think the markets should move you? Because the relationship between how you are affecting what the demand is and how the market changes you, it's very different. And in stand-up comedy, you are usually around people who don't make a lot of money, which is why they say like, yeah, money comes in the way of true art, true creativity. So do you think this is a misnomer? Do you think we should let commerce dictate how art is done, or is that a separate thing that will catch up whenever you follow your artistic ambition?
तेरे को क्या पैसा चाहिए बोल ना मतलब no, I mean,
नहीं, see for example, देखो पैसा ना at some level it's like oxygen. Too little and you feel कि मर जाएंगे. Too much and you start fucking hyper. ज़्यादा हो जाता है ना, whatever. You start thinking of ridiculous things. So I think don't let the market control what you are doing. But as I said, be aware. Do you want to be in the market? Again, going back to what you were saying earlier, हम रास्ता खुद बना रहे हैं ना, तो along the way you need, हाँ भाई इस रास्ते में चलने के लिए पेट्रोल चाहिए, whatever. So you need some amount of understanding of the market. Or as he rightly said, find that one person. But don't let the market, I think a bit of what you're saying also stems from the fact that how many views, how much thing, how often do you post, how much. Trust me, वो सबका, I mean, if I can say it in the words, सबका चुतिया होना है. They're only doing it because they really want you to just keep doing it again. Okay, यार तुम पोस्ट करोगे Instagram की वैल्यू बढ़ेगी, कुछ और होगा, whatever, etc. It's not. I've seen people who make one thing and it just explodes. Some people do 20, it doesn't do anything. Some do 100, कुछ नहीं होता है. So I don't think that you should let the market sort of control your creativity ever, but being aware of the market, knowing there is a market. Right? That is important. And again, if you want to stay to your creative process, then find that other partner, find the agency, find people who believe in you. I see a lot of people who are, again, like if you look at even a Zakir or, I often say that, young creators have now built a little ecosystem around themselves. Mm-hmm. They have 2 editors, 2 writers, somebody there. It's like a small universe by itself that moves. It's a market by itself. Correct. Right? I mean, look at Kusha and whatever and all these people. Everybody's doing it. Rohan just does it. I mean, when I think Rohan looks and says, "Can I feed my cats?" Otherwise, chalo, comedy ka wo karte hain, 10 share karke aa jayega. Like, I'm like, where are you doing your next one? Because he doesn't do it that often. But he is aware of the market. I mean, if not directly, then indirectly through other people.
Yeah, I think the market will, tell you, like you mentioned, what's working, what's not working, ye bik raha hai, ye nahi bik raha hai. But I think it's very important to not lose yourself and your voice in the process. And I think the right balance between creativity and what works creatively, I think that resonance and that bridge is something is what is really important. I was just thinking that, probably if people just made movies like All We Imagine as Light, like I really like that movie, but it's not going to, I mean, people are not going to come and watch every movie that is made that way. So you need movies like Lapata Ladies, I feel like, which kind of bridge between both. So I feel like a maker always, I mean, as I also mentioned, I feel makers start a movement. They find some issue, and which is why they create. And I think eventually, if you're really true to what you're creating, and it's different, and I feel like markets don't always reward efforts, but they reward resonance. So I think that resonance is really what you need to always match. And I think markets always, match what is new.
So 2 small examples I'll give you. One to sort of take off what you said about like Instagram, right? For example, on the one hand, we see that whenever a trend appears on Instagram, suddenly every creator is trying their version of the trend, right? Like recently we had that one, remember that handshake type meme is happening. Now suddenly you'll see 1,000 of those handshake memes. But next week, there's another trend. For that trend to happen, outside of your orbit, somewhere, another creator had to go, I'm not doing this trend. I have a different idea. And then now suddenly that has become a trend, right? Which means somebody went, okay, no, I'm breaking this trend and I am going to do this. And then suddenly this new market / trend / everything appears, right? So you can, yes, on the one hand, exploit what's happening in the market. On the other hand, be like, okay, I will create this new thing. Right. Second thing is, I was very fortunate once to meet global head of an OTT platform. And this is when they were sort of, really just about getting into originals, etc. And, the whole conversation was, like with Netflix, it was very, Netflix saw that a lot of people like David Fincher and a lot of people like, Kevin Spacey. So that's why they got together and made House of Cards. And there was this big thing of, data should shape what, the algorithm makes. And I was like, how much of this is true? And he said something that was actually very valuable. He's like, see, the problem with making these algorithmic or data-driven decisions or trying to sort of figure out the market from there is, the data is not necessarily telling you what's going to work in the future. It's only telling you what's working now. Right? So it's very dangerous in some ways to be like, oh, this data is telling me like a crystal ball for the future. No, it's just telling you what's popular now, actually. So also sometimes follow your instincts against the data, maybe. So, yeah.
One more thing I wanted to ask was when you were growing up, the three of you have grown up in this neighborhood. What were things that were consuming your time? Were there things? Did you go to shows? Were there any movie theaters you watched? What were the places? What were your haunts growing up or even now in the neighborhood?
Road work.
I moved here recently. It's been about 2 years. And I was saying inside also, okay, being an event planner, I used to earlier have this habit of any new place you go, you recce the entire area कि emergency होगी तो क्या करेंगे? धोबी यहाँ पे है. Because ये सब थिएटर के तरफ में होता था कि यार धोबी नहीं है, धोबी ढूंढ लो, खाना यहाँ मिल जाएगा, चाय यहाँ की अच्छी है, ये क्रेडिट पे दे देगा, whatever etc. तो मैं बहुत करता हूँ. तो I've been roaming the area and I was telling people saying some things that recent haunts before this I was in Versova, so that is the armpit of Bollywood. Actually, Aram Nagar more. उसका नाम आराम नगर क्यों समझ में नहीं आता, but like there are really hidden gems in all of these places if you really want to look for them. Here recently, of course, that lane of the habitat is just fun to just sort of just you come out and you're there and there's something or the other always happening. But now there's actually place which is it's called the community center. It's actually called, which is further down, but there's lots of workshops and all that keep happening. 2 lanes down on the other side, which is there, which I find. Actually, Fictionary is a partner, but I'm also thinking it's a really nice place if you just go. Kuch na kuch ho raha hota hai. Again, 3 art house is a phenomenal thing. If you haven't, I'm sure you all are here because of that. If you're not, you must go. It's really, I just find that there are these small little things that are sort of coming up and cropping up. Ankur Tiwari once very famously said that दिल्ली में लोगों को घर से निकालना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है क्योंकि घर इतने बड़े होते हैं, ठीक है. बॉम्बे में कोई एक्सक्यूज नहीं, बिकॉज मैच बॉक्स में रहना तो बहुत बाहर जाके अच्छा लगता है, राइट? आई फाइंड पीपल हियर रियली enjoy that. There is this thing that you got to give them big star, big name, this that, but there are some really micro movements that have started, which I find is incredible. These paithaks that have started, these people just creating dining clubs in their homes, very very unique. They have all tiers, so there is the 15,000 ka entry point ibtidai mehfil, am I wearing shatush and what am I dressed in? It's one thing, but there's also the 20 people sitting at home and listening to somebody gorgeous and classical music concerts. बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. So I think there's a lot to discover, but निकलना जरूरी है.
I actually live in Santa Cruz, and now I've started feeling that they didn't find any maybe female comedian who kind of lived in Khar, and that's happening. I honestly felt like I'm not there as a speaker, but male, female, diversity and inclusion में tick mark कर दिया, इसलिए मुझे include किया है. But no, I mean, jokes apart, I'm excited to be on this panel. Firstly, I was only very starstruck because I've grown up, watching you, listening you. Rohan Joshi, I mean, who doesn't know about him? My husband, as I mentioned, is here. And and but I mean, Santa Cruz is not very far from Khar, so I used to walk down while I was growing up. All my dance classes are here, my skating classes are here. I love visiting Boda School if that's nearby. The Ghanteshwar Mandir that you mentioned. I think the bylanes, the avenues are so calm, they're so peace. You can, enjoy a nice walk and I mean, I love this neighborhood and I think Khar is a really nice. Something old school and modern yet, like it's that middle yet growing into like a Bandra as you mentioned. Yeah, so that's about Khar that I know about.
I have a confession to make. I too am from Santa Cruz. I too am from Santa Cruz. I live in this beautiful lane, which is okay. It's on the bleeding edge of Khar and Santa Cruz. So when I first moved here 15 years ago, I realized that if I wrote the same address in Zomato, but chose Khar instead of Santa Cruz, 20 more Bandra restaurants delivered to my house, okay? But when I moved here, again, one of the most beautiful things that I think both of them have said is, this is one of those beautiful rare areas of Mumbai that is so walkable, okay? I have now, after living in this area for 15 years, between Bandra, Khar, Santa Cruz West, I still feel like every 6 months I find some new lane I've not discovered. I'm like, where did this lane come from? Like, it's like suddenly we walk in, suddenly one diagon alley type lane में भी अरे ये यहाँ और ऐसा 6 बंगला किधर से आ गया, ठीक है? Like, literally that feeling happened is beautiful. And ever since I moved here, my main thing is when I step out, I'm like, okay, first we must map all the street food that is possible. Okay, so near Podar School, Anand Dosa Center. Oh ho ho. Number 1, too good. Ram and Sham Chaatwala. Just absolutely amazing.
Smart Frankie.
Smart Frankie, yes! Smart Frankie. And then technically, okay, this is adjacent. It's not technically Khar, this thing. But guys, society stores.
Yes. Society stores.
Okay, society stores is just like you walk in there only and you're just like, just take my money. Like, I want all the namkeen, just take my money. But just overall, it's just like, and it's that beautiful thing of, like you said, is there's these legacy establishments that have always been there, that are part of the lore, right? Where Ram and Sham has been around forever. There's all these, there's that Dosa Wala near Gujarat Research Society who's been around forever. And then there's new places like this that are opening, and then there's a new cafe every second week, third week. There's events happening, like he said, from 15,000 to 500. It is, yeah, it's just beautiful to live in a walkable part of town, right? It's a rare thing to be in this part, in this city, and say, oh, I'm in this area where I can get 3.5 kilometers without ever having to cross a main road.
Right.
If I don't want to, just gully se gully se gully se gully se gully, right? Which is kind of beautiful to see. And again, like he said, it shows how small our roads are, right? Like Delhi roads have names like golf course road, right? Khar is 50-foot road, 30-foot road, 16-foot road, but they're all beautiful roads. So yeah, just walk around the area and it's great.
One thing I want to ask is, like, you know, when you were talking about all these food places, it looked like you were possessed, you know. So I think metaphorically, they have created a recipe that has created a market that is so addicted to their recipes that people just go into a different zone by talking about it. So metaphorically, if you had to like design your career or give tips to people on how to make their career, what are these? What would you tell? What are some tricks to make this recipe?
मैं बहुत टाइप से कर रहा हूँ. No, I think there are a couple of things. One, as I said, is that first, see, you can decide कि long term करना क्या है, right? I often ask people saying how much petrol कितना तुम्हें. People are like, अरे नहीं, I want to do this. I said, how much fuel do you have? Because this is not. I mean, I've done this. I'm saying over 35 years now, 35 years actually. And when I started, there was no FM. There was only Doordarshan, right? So I've done all of that, and now look at where we are at. Right, and you've got everything which is possible. So first you've got to, it is, at that time, access was the issue. Right, now I don't think access is the issue. Now the issue is about, there are so many things available, kya karu? Where will I, you know, so I often turn and say, can you find a place where you can whisper because everyone else is shouting somewhere else? What is that one slice that has not been touched? Okay, everyone's making a podcast. I yesterday saw a podcast which was called fashion something, the second word is something to do with therapy, and this lady was talking to a person and the person was lying on the couch and a mic in front of her. I said, at least the look is different. And then I realized she was a therapist and therefore she was talking about fashion and this, and it was unique because I never heard a conversation around fashion, therapy. Oh good lord, what is this? So somebody found the slice. So find that one slice which is different is the first thing I would tell you. That is the first ingredient. Do something that you have enough fuel for. You've got to keep doing it. I mean, I know I write a lot, I write plays, I write films, I'm doing whatever. पता नहीं कब बनेगी. 2 साल पहले जो था संडे आया, जैसे मुंजिया निकली ना, सर हॉरर है. अब आ रही है सर सैयारा टाइप कुछ है. यही हो रहा है. Because it's that the market is saying पैसा इससे बनेगा. As a, you know, just as a person who's a maker, and I love what she said about these 2 words she used. One was movement. And the other thing which said is resonance. What do you resonate with? What is the path you're willing to go on? As long as you can have this, and every day you can sit back and turn and also try and, you know, review your journey. The dangerous thing is in our line of work is मैं ये कल कर लूंगा. अभी ये perfect नहीं है. जब ये पूरा पक जाएगा, अभी तो मैंने सिर्फ premise लिखी है. Like 2-3 पेज और लिख दो ना, क्या जा रहा है? But people get so stuck. These are real little safety nets that you create, but they believe you me, they hold you back. Give it your all. Go out and do it. What will happen? The worst is it will suck. But this judgment that we've all got into, na, कि अरे यार वो क्या बोलेगा सुन सके, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. दुनिया इतनी बड़ी है, आप लोग खून भी कर देंगे ना तो किसी को पता नहीं लगेगा 2 दिन के बाद. Right? Hopefully. But I'm just saying that, overall, just make sure that up karo. The other thing is that don't just dream, do. These are a few things that I would tell you.
I think you've already said everything, and I think the one thing that really resonated with me is that people really obsess with perfection, and I feel like perfection doesn't give action. Action is, you create action, it creates movement, and then you eventually refine and you get better at it. I mean, this is our personal example that, when we started this brand, I don't know why, but we took photos without our faces in a corner. I don't know, we thought that it looked really professional, but I don't know why we did it, but I'm glad that we did it because we started somewhere in our bedroom, and now we've turned into, we've turned that into a 40 crore turnover company without bootstrapped. And I just feel like perfection isn't everything. If you have an idea, just try it, just do it. You will fail, you will fuck up, people will tell you 10 things. But I think consistency, movement, and doing the same thing again and again, and just finding that grit to continue irrespective of what happens. If it's a good day, you do it. It's a bad day, you do it. You do it because you have to do it. I mean, continuing is what I think creates that action, and that's what gets you there.
Yeah, I think they've nailed the idea of done is better than perfect, always. And the other thing is, just to sort of add to that, is going forward, like the thing that can happen is once you sort of get entrenched, alright, is you can sort of get very confident ke mujhe pata hai main kya kar raha hu. But instead I've realized the main thing is, no, if you can just always stay curious, like be like, okay, if you can always approach it, haan main 15 saal se kar raha hu, but I don't know anything. Okay? Like there's still so much to learn. There's still so much to learn. That might not be true. But you'll still pick up like 50 new things just from keeping your ears and eyes open and thinking that I have more to learn than feeling like, no, I know everything. Because I feel like that is where stagnation sets in. Whereas, so I think that just keep being curious, like all the way to the end, and it'll just always be fun. Like, yeah, let's say, what's that saying? Be curious, not judgmental. I think that, yeah.
I think there are lots of sociologists, scientists who are talking about how the newer generations are afraid to be cringe, like they're afraid to be judged. So one person absolutely. Also, one thing that is unique about Indian markets is that our customers, our audience is very honest with feedback. So I just want to ask you guys, is there
Too honest.
Is there any feedback, any comments you have received from your audiences, from your customers that are memorable or that you are trying to repress but you can't?
I have a really funny story. So we do short tops which you kind of wear on jeans. So we had just launched them, and we are basically into handcrafted clothing. So it's all hand block printed, it's handcrafted, it's a small batch production, and the cost of that short top was 2750. So she asked that, hey, PP, I don't know why they call it PP. It's a fixed nomenclature. PP matlab price, please. So she wrote PP, and that time I was managing the DMs. So I told her that the cost of this short top is 2750. She's like, can you tell me the price of this short top without the jeans? She actually thought that a 2750 short top included with the jeans. And that's when I realized that, I mean, there's always a difference between maker and market. Me as a maker found value that the price justified because, it was handcrafted, it was artisan made, it was a small batch production, but she genuinely was, she was baffled that how can you sell a short top for 2750 and that doesn't even include the jeans that you shot them with. So what I realized was that I think sometimes it's not about discounting the product, but it's more about storytelling and putting, educating your customers and not just discounting it. Because if she doesn't know what's the story, she will not be able to value the product the way you do. So that was like a funny anecdote that I had.
I have it's a story from long back. It was, how many of you are under the age of 25? Raise your hands. So this is a story just before your time. So in the year 2000, I was trying to buy a house in Bombay, and I used to do 3 shows on Sony's E and Star. They were all entertainment shows. They were all around Bollywood. They were all fun, with public demand, tufan, family fortunes, game shows. Ravina Raj Kohli suddenly told me called me from Sony and said, which Seth Max is going to do crickets. I said, मैम मुझे क्रिकेट का ना कुछ नहीं पता है, मुझे ये बस ये गेंद बताई जाती है, बाउंड्री में पास हो जाती है. Chalo, that's it. You're going to be the common man on television and you will ask all the experts about कि क्या हुआ and whatever. I said, okay, it's fun. It sounded fun. I used to ask about Bollywood normally. I reached Singapore, and when I reached Singapore, they told me that Navjot Singh Sidhu's contract had not happened and Pat Simcoe's का visa नहीं हुआ था. So there was no expert. I was the expert and the common person. इंटरनेट स्पीड जो होती है ना, वो जो आप लोगों को तो पता ही नहीं होगा कि वो 0.32 kbps राइट, वो चलता था. तो एवरी मॉर्निंग आई वुड गो टू द इंटरनेट एंड से मुझे 5 फैक्ट्स मिल जाए बोलने के लिए, एंड आई वुड टाइप इन राहुल द्रविड़ ट्रिविया एंड इट वुड कम. If I actually gave you the real speed, ये 2 घंटे निकल जाएंगे. But by the end of it, tell me, Rahul Dravid's pet name was Jammy. Very, very good. Father used to work in Kisan Jams. Very good. I'll use this. And I said, okay, I have to go on the thing for 20 seconds or 30 seconds, right? Hey, welcome to Seth Max, and Rahul Dravid's playing today, and this is happening, blah, 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 and Maro one trivia and out. Throughout the series, it rained, which meant that I was on air 30 minutes. 30 minutes. मुझे कुछ नहीं आता, and I'm just bullshitting. Sachin Tendulkar, what a man, what an Indian, what a person. I was
Recipe for jam. Take 50 strawberry.
Arnab Goswami on steroids. It was crazy. मैं जो बकवास आ रही बोल रहा हूँ. Sports Star magazine came out. It was one very revered magazine, and I was normally in the newspaper and Filmfare and also नाम लिखते थे. Sports Star magazine will send feedback and criticism. Had a one-line review of my performance, which said, "We love Roshan on general entertainment television. He should stay there."
No, you all can just go to my YouTube. Just go to top comment. Enjoy. Honestly, I've been through too much therapy to crunch it all up again. It's just not this thing. Yeah, but no, I think best comment came from police. I think, we were there. Okay, this is an actual thing. All right, this is again. I'll tell you a peak Mumbai story. Okay, so we got called into police station for roast, etc. All of that is happening. I'm talking to the cop. Cop is listening to my whole this thing. He's like, "This is vulgar. This is that. Whatever." I said, "Okay." Then after he's given me little danda for 30 minutes, it's time now to go home. He looks at me and he's like, "Joshi." "You're Marathi manus." I said, "हो चांगलं वाटलं, मराठी माणूस एवढा पुढे गेला." And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel right now, because you just yelled at me for 35 minutes and told me I'm vulgar, but also you're very proud of me. And I'm not taking this up. Before leaving, he's like, "But you should be more in touch with your culture." And he gave me, and I still have them on my shelf, okay? He gave me 2 books of Marathi poetry. Wait for it. By Raj Thakre. It's just still on my shelf. So, yeah, I'm one of the few people who has received a cultural education from the Mumbai police at Tarde police station. So, yeah.
A cultured man, indeed.
A cultured man, indeed, yes.
Should we take questions from the audience? Do we have questions for?
Hi, my name is Chanel. I'm a digital marketer, the villain in your story. But yeah, it's very refreshing to see. One of the things that I've sort of understood from all your social channels is the fact that you all started with user-generated content in that sense, but you all have become the source of the user-generated content. And we look at stuff like K-pop Demon Hunters, where you see the kind of, it goes from fun to a therapist decoding all the songs, right? A lot of all of that happening. How do you sort of judge, trying to make...
Everything else is just me ascribing some form of self-importance, sort of, to myself. But what am I here for? To do this one thing. And then, once you have that sort of North Star, it really helps put all the other stuff into perspective. Like, because like I'm very tired of this, like people saying things like, comedians are the real journalists. No, no, Baba, we are not. We're sitting at home. We are also consuming news sources that are supposed to be reported from online and then forming our opinion. We didn't ask for this responsibility, okay, at all. And this idea that it is somehow now our job to do that is crazy to me. Alright, because like this, right? Our main thing, I get on stage and I'm very blunt. Some nights I just want to go on to मेरे को बात के बारे में बात करनी है, ठीक है? Like I'm sorry, but that is my job. I'm there to make people laugh, and always that is the North Star. Like yeah. So serious, whatever. But I will always like that. What's that phrase? Like always, I will do it for the bit. Always committed to the bit.
Yes. So I'm just going to add a little thing. I wasn't doing much on Instagram. I had some 10-20,000 people who knew me because of what I had done earlier. And it was just residual love maybe at some level. But I had somebody really young working with me who said, "आप पूरे दिन ज्ञान बांटते रहते हो हम लोगों को, तो दुनिया में बांटो. Why should we only suffer the pain?" So I was like, okay, not bad. So they actually went out and we interviewed a whole bunch of people, and actually I was speaking to a lot of digital marketers. I must tell you, that itself was a stand-up piece. Because everybody was like, there's this formula and there's this and there's 10, 20, whatever, and there is, ECG, and it's something which is for growth.
I learned new word today. Today, I had a work call today. I learned, for example, you can't just call someone influencer anymore. They are a KOL. A key opinion leader. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So what happened in my case, I sat with them as these are things I can do. I laid it out on a map saying I can do all of these things. मैं गा भी सकता हूँ, मैं ट्रिविया भी दे सकता हूँ, मैं ये भी कर सकता हूँ, मैं भी कर सकता हूँ, मुझे करने में पसंद है. Then they sat down and said, okay, so this girl in Delhi, Rohani, and she was really, really good at what she does. And she was like, listen, this people will not be interested in, this will be interested in, this I'm really interested in, whatever. So we went for the first 2-3 months and we shot all these things. And we kept putting them out. Right? And digital pay, it's like I keep saying कि पानी में आप जो होते हैं you're throwing a stone. Some just sink, some create ripples. The ones that create ripple, you follow through, right? And I've been following through. So my brand-led storytelling works. That's what I'm going to continue doing. Why? It doesn't get me any business on Instagram. It actually gets me business on LinkedIn. Because when I put it out there and I say I also do a storytelling workshop, brands look at it and say, this must be of use because इसमें कुछ. So you have to find that some amount of relevance. I stay to that. My social media, this team in Delhi, they keep saying, sir, itna personal mat dala karo. I said, yaar, mujhe wo dikhne mein bada acha hai. I enjoy it. That is actually me. When I'm talking about my parents, talking about Lucknow, talking about friendship or whatever. That's me. Now there's one debate of saying, divide kar do. Ek profile aisi ek. I say, yaar, do profile are split personality thodi na. There's the same person. I have this as well as that. So I do what is still relevant to me. The seriousness, yes, there are times, and see, for Rohan, as he said, so put it so way, what's my job? I've got to make people laugh. I don't know what my job is. I said, this is my persona. I am a person who has done so much. And I like to talk about these 3-4 things, and I will continue to do that over and over. There are times when I feel there is a very, very dark, crazy side to me, which I half type and I'm like, nahi, ye main nahi. At least, this is for my close friends. So I make that distinction so that I can maintain that tonality. And from time to time, suddenly you say, let's try something new. And that's where actually you think of something which might be just completely odd. Like I did a podcast, I did one season, I was like, everybody's doing a podcast. My team came and said, let's do a second one. The only thing was, can we get bigger names? So, yes, I can get bigger names, but they are being chased by 20 other people. Like, kya naya karna? So I'm not interested at the moment. I know, till we haven't found that slice, what's the point? So I think deciding what your persona is, doing what you feel is relatable to some degree. Sorry, she's looking at her. So.
I'm like, I just can't imagine a dark side to you. Like it's just like oh my god, like I feel like the darkest thing you've done in your life is एक बार ना कुछ ऐसा कप डस्टबिन के बाहर फेंका.
We'd love to watch that kind of
Yeah. You had a question. You can take the second question.
Yeah, we take this more.
Oh, no. Sorry.
As a young creative, I feel like, sometimes I don't quite know what I really like. I like everything. I like to write, I like to click pictures, read videos, everything. So then how do I pick a particular niche? Because as far as I know, if you have a niche, you work on that niche and you thrive, right? But I don't know what I want to thrive on, right? So how do I sort of, make that leap? And another question. Also that I quite don't know the analytical part of things, right? Like you said, have a Gujarati friend, have a Banya friend, right? I don't have those.
In Mumbai,
Sorry, correcting myself. Smart Gujarati and Banya friends. So, you know,
we live in the one building in Ghatkopar.
Unfortunately, I live in Kodla. Anyway, my point being that I don't quite know the analytical. I hate it. Right? I don't want to think numbers. I don't want to see, how to go about things. I just know I like to create, and I know I can create. So how do I also bridge that gap? Gap.
I have something to say here. I think a lot of us like a lot of things, but that doesn't mean we are good at it. So there's a Venn diagram, and if you've read Ikigai, I think you should read that book. It tells you that you might like 10 things, but what is actually something that you're good at, and what is it that the customer will be willing to pay for? So that those three things really need to align. And for you to really understand the question, I think is that maybe just try everything that you will fuck up in most maybe. Then eventually after trying all those 10 things, you'll realize that one thing, people are giving you good feedback. People are actually liking what you're doing. And I think trying and giving enough amount of time in all those things will eventually help you to find that answer. And also Ikigai.
That thing he said about throw a bunch of stones and then you follow through the ones that have the ripples.
And again, the whole thing is, मैं उस किसी से बात कर रहा था, whatever. This whole thing was that, you are at that stage where you must explore. You must explore 20 things. But if you don't look at which of them had an impact, you're going to become noise. When you know which of them has impact, that will become the true people relate to this aspect of you. If you want to be a maker and you want to make some monetary gains from it, then follow that. If you just want to be yourself, there's so many people here who just want to put it out because it's them. That's no problem. बिल्कुल करो. But अगर maker बनना है और maker से market बनाना है, then you have to capture something which is there. What's the gap you're addressing? So that does require some amount of analytics. Doesn't require it on day one. So initially do what you feel like, because you'll say, this I hate doing. You yourself will realize that this was just आज के लिए भिलपुरी खाली कर वो था, whatever. But what is inside you it takes a little bit of more time. But you are very young, right? And you've got so much to do. अभी तो करते हो.
And just to add to man's Ikigai analogy, right? The other side of that coin, there might be things you like doing but you're not good at. There might be other things that you hate doing, but you will have no choice but to be good at. Right? If you really want to get it, there's many things. Like for example, number one worst thing I do is interacting with my CA. Okay? Like I hate it. I don't know how to do it. But my point is, if you don't want to get arrested, if you want to stay compliant, you just at some point got to carve out that time, sit down and do it, right? So on the one hand, you might not be good at everything you like, and you have to be good at some stuff you don't like, unfortunately.
Third question, one's the back, someone.
Hi, my name is Vidhi. So my question is, as a maker, you must have gone ahead with some idea that you thought was going to be great, fantastic, and the market's going to just blow up with it. And either the market didn't respond, or it really turned your idea up on its tail. So if you could share one of those moments, and what did you learn from it? Thank you.
वो रात अपन 2 बजे तक पिया. It's 60.
No, I actually made a film in 2009, and it was based on a play that I had written in 97. It was a very successful play in 97. Right? मैं उसको देखे उसकी ज्वाला लेके 10 साल चल रहा था कि अब किसी दिन बनाऊंगा. Of all things, I started becoming an anchor for SRK. We used to do shows across, and मैंने उसको एक दिन pitch कर दिया. I don't know what mood he was in. He said, yes, बनाते हैं. So I was making a film for Red Chillies, which didn't have Shah Rukh Khan, while he was making Ravan, which was a 100 crore movie, and I was making a 6 crore film. Every time I would look at something in my film, उसके चेहरे में लग जाता था कि यार ये तो मेरी एक entry sequence का पैसा है. Right? So I could make out that it's too small for him, but he wants to be a studio at some level. The film released, it sang without a whimper. Rohan and everybody, by the way, I tried to recruit them to say, there's one scene, we've got somebody from Coca-Cola, kuch aur kar sakte hain. Fanta, good lord. Most fuck all integration in the planet, because they were like, ye bhi dal do. And I was at that stage saying, jo dalna. Jo. Fanta ki wo ladki naach rahi dal. Aadmi is nar naha raha hai dal do. Koi problem nahi. You're 3 years, you're like, school. when it comes out, and when the film comes out, so the peak of your creative career is when your audience is the largest, right? And then the product you're creating is going to remain there for posterity. We're somewhere looking for, हम सच बोले ना बोले legacy कहीं ढूंढ रहे होते हैं, particularly when you reach that stage of saying सब कर लिया यार, ये मेरी legacy होगी. I mean, मैं तो भागता हूँ दूर इस समय, because there are bits in the film that is me, there are bits that are not me. The handling the other side of Everest is the true test of you being a creator. I spent 2 years really understanding, deep depression, what have I done? How could I go wrong? The world must be thinking I'm so fuck all at what I do. What's this? And I actually needed friends like Ankur Tiwari and Gaurav and everybody who came and they did an intervention saying, "Tum niklo yaar ghar se bahar. Tum ghar mein mat baithe raho all the time." Because I was just so scared because you're so sensitive at that point. And when I came out, I actually, there's a book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. If you haven't got it, you're an artist, please get it, borrow it. It's brilliant. Because it just asks you to do 2 things. It tells you, write 3 pages every morning. Javed साहब से मैं एक इंटरव्यू कर रहा था and somebody was in the audience and he said, "Sir, मैं लिखना चाहता हूँ." तो कहले पढ़ो. हमारा प्रॉब्लम है कभी बार हम कंज्यूम भी नहीं करते. तो there are only 2 things. One is I used to write every morning, and it doesn't mean you got to write poetry. You can write saying आज बात के बारे में बात करना है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, चलता है. मुझे कुत्ते के बारे में बात करना है. There's no, but you just get into the habit, the muscle memory of creating was the first thing I had to get back. The second was this thing which is called an artist date, which in the book she says is that just go out and date an art form by yourself, not with someone else, by yourself. I went and saw Marathi movie, I went and saw some dance recital, I don't understand any of that. It just rewired some parts of my brain and gave me the thing that people are creating. So honestly, handling the down is the most difficult part of creativity. The high is always so good. Everybody's toasting your success. Remember the people who were with you at that time, because they are your true friends. Remember how low it was before creating something big, because that tells you the risk that you have to take and jump again and leap again and whatever, and build that creative practice again. That's what I can tell.
I think for me, if I speak strictly in terms of my experience of making kurtas, is that the kurta we spend like a lot of time, lot of detailing in making, that always bombs, and there's this one fuck all kurta which will sell the most, on which your brand kind of runs. So that's something that I've realized is that you can never master the market. The market is going to be unpredictable, but as Rohan and Roshan sir mentioned that the constant, always being humble, keeping learning at the core, and knowing that you may be here, but the markets are going to change, the taste is going to change, so you need to adapt to it, and there will always be things that you make which will not be accepted, which will bomb, and which will never match the way you have, the amount of time and effort you've made in creating it. But I think that's the beauty of the market. It keeps you on your toes. It doesn't let you become lazy. And I think that tug of war is what keeps makers and markets in tandem, is what I feel.
And just small thing to add that Shreyas will also know this, as we both do stand-up comedy. The trick is you learn, it's a very cliche thing to say, but you learn way more from the bad shows than you do from the good shows. It's in a way of that, all happy families are alike, all sad families are uniquely sad, right? And that's the way you learn way more from the bad shit and the things that didn't work than the stuff that works. And this is little unrelated, but since you brought up that Fanta integration in that film, I want to go back to, you asked me about piece of feedback / critique that has stayed with you forever. You might not remember this, but so yes, for this film, he asked us to write this Fanta integration. So, Tanmay and I sat for the night, okay, came up what we thought was very good idea and this, that, and we went and we pitched this, okay. We pitched this to you. I still remember this, you were in the room, and we pitched this to you, okay, and we were full excitement. We're like, oh my God, we dropped this amazing idea on the table, and I still remember you gave us one of the most specific forms of, and for some reason it was very devastating feedback, okay, where we pitched this great joke or what we thought was a great joke, okay, and so he looks at us and says, it's a titter at best, not a guffaw. His exact words, okay. Like, at best, it's a titter, not a guffaw, and you will not believe it, okay? Smash cut to 16 years later. Whenever Tanmay and I are writing together, and we write a joke and one of us wants to say to the other that it is not funny, we will look at each other and be like, Tanmay, it's a traitor, not a guffaw.
Good. At least something good came out.
User generated content.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, that was it. Give it up for our panel once again. Yes.